Imagine a time before the Great Flood, before Noah built his ark, before Moses received the commandments, before even the foundation of Israel was laid. There was a man who walked with God. His name was Enoch, and his story, largely forgotten by time, opens a window into the most mysterious and profound visions ever recorded in sacred literature. The Book of Enoch is not part of most modern Bibles. It was excluded from the canonical texts centuries ago, though it once circulated among early Jewish and Christian communities. For thousands of years, it lay hidden, preserved only in ancient Ethiopian manuscripts and fragments discovered among the Dead Sea Scrolls. Yet what it contains is nothing less than a cosmic revelation, a journey through the heavens, the fall of angels, the corruption of mankind, and the divine judgment that followed. Enoch, the great-grandfather of Noah, is mentioned briefly in the book of Genesis. Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. A short line, but one that hints at something extraordinary. How could a man be taken by God, body and soul, without tasting death? What did he see in the realms beyond human reach? And what message did he bring back for humankind? The Book of Enoch claims to answer these questions. It is a record of his visions, revelations given to a righteous man chosen to witness the hidden architecture of the universe. Here, angels descend to earth. Here, giants are born from the union of celestial beings and mortal women. Here, Enoch is carried through the heavens by archangels, shown the dwelling places of the righteous and the damned, and taught the secrets of creation. This is not myth in the ordinary sense. It is written with the gravity of a prophet and the awe of a man who has seen eternity. Every line feels ancient, heavy with symbols and moral warnings. It speaks of cosmic order, rebellion, and the boundaries between divine and human knowledge. Historically, the Book of Enoch was revered by early Christian thinkers such as Tertullian and the author of the Epistle of Jude, who even quotes it directly. Its themes echo throughout the New Testament: fallen angels, final judgment, heavenly books, and the Son of Man who sits upon a throne of glory. But later councils and scribes deemed it too controversial, too mystical, too difficult to fit into orthodox doctrine. And so it was lost, or rather, hidden. It survived only in the highlands of Ethiopia, where it remained part of the canon of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church for more than 1,000 years. When European explorers and scholars rediscovered it in the 18th century, they were astonished. It was as if a missing link in ancient theology had been unearthed, a missing bridge connecting Hebrew prophecy, Mesopotamian myth, and early Christian revelation. But what exactly does this book describe? It begins with warning and lament. Enoch speaks to a generation doomed by the sins of its own making. He records the words of angels who descended from heaven, drawn by desire and rebellion, and the catastrophic consequences that followed. He writes of visions, of fire, stars, winds, and the paths of the sun and moon, describing a universe that is alive, moral, and governed by invisible laws. To modern ears, these may sound like stories, but to the ancients, they were sacred cosmology, the blueprint of divine order. And whether one reads it as theology, mythology, or prophecy, the Book of Enoch remains one of humanity's earliest attempts to understand the link between heaven and earth, between spirit and matter, between the fall of angels and the fate of man. So in this journey, we will explore what Enoch saw. We will travel through his visions of the watchers, the angels who fell. We will witness the birth of giants, the corruption of the earth, and the heavenly judgment that followed. And we will interpret the meaning of these revelations, not as superstition, but as the deep echo of humankind's search for divine knowledge. So in the chapters ahead, prepare to step beyond the veil, into the luminous, terrifying, and awe-inspiring world that Enoch beheld. A world where the stars themselves are alive, where angels walk among men, and where every act of creation is recorded in the eternal books of heaven. This is the beginning of the Book of Enoch. The heavens, Enoch tells us, were once in perfect order. Every star moved in its appointed path. Every angel fulfilled his role in service of the Eternal One. But among the hosts of heaven were those who looked downward, toward the earth, and saw the beauty of humankind. And desire, the seed of rebellion, took root even in the hearts of the immortal. From the highest vaults of heaven, 200 angels watched the daughters of men. Their leader was Semjasa, mighty and wise, but restless. Beside him stood Azazel, the bright one, skilled in the hidden arts. They spoke together of a forbidden thought. What if we too walked upon the earth? What if we took for ourselves the women of men and made our own kind? Semjasa feared the wrath of God, but was drawn to the daring of it. And so upon the summit of Mount Hermon, he gathered his companions, the Watchers, so named because their duty was to observe mankind, not to join it. They swore an oath together, each binding himself lest any turn back in fear, and the mountain trembled as their vow echoed through the sky. Then they descended. The sacred boundary between heaven and earth was crossed. And when the Watchers took mortal wives, a new race was born, the Nephilim, the giants. They were mighty, terrible, and insatiable. Their strength shook the mountains. Their appetite devoured the land. They turned upon mankind, consuming the fruits of labor, then the flesh of men themselves. The earth cried out under their violence. Azazel taught men to forge swords and knives, to fashion armor, and to make war. He showed women the art of adornment, bracelets, cosmetics, and the dark sciences of allure. Semjasa taught enchantments and the cutting of roots. Other Watchers revealed the courses of the stars, the signs of the sun and moon, the secrets of metal and stone. And knowledge, once meant for the divine, spread among mortals like fire. What was given as wisdom became corruption. Humanity, once innocent, learned the arts of destruction and vanity. The balance between heaven and earth was shattered. Then the archangels looked upon the earth and saw the chaos that had come. Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel stood before the throne and cried out, "See, Lord of ages, what Azazel has done. He has taught every unrighteous thing upon the earth. The world is full of blood and lawlessness." The Almighty, whose patience is vast, yet not infinite, decreed judgment. Raphael was sent to bind Azazel and cast him into the darkness of Dudael, a desert pit of sharp stones and eternal confinement. Gabriel was commanded to destroy the children of the Watchers, the Nephilim, that they might no longer ravage the earth. And Michael was charged to gather Semjasa and his companions, to bind them beneath the hills of the earth until the day of judgment. But before this doom unfolded, Enoch was chosen to act as messenger. He was still a man, yet righteous and pure of heart. The Watchers, seeing their punishment approach, pleaded that Enoch write a petition for their forgiveness. He did so, and in humility brought their words before the Lord. The answer was sorrowful and unyielding. "Never again shall you ascend to heaven," came the decree. "You are in heaven, but its secrets you reveal to men, and those men, taught by you, will perish in the flood of your making." Thus ended the age of the Watchers' rebellion. Their offspring, the Nephilim, fell by sword and famine. The earth groaned beneath the weight of their bones. And Enoch, shaken but obedient, began to see visions of what was to come: the flood, the renewal, and the final reckoning. The descent of the Watchers is more than a tale of angels and giants. It is a parable of forbidden knowledge, of wisdom sought without humility, of power grasped without restraint. In it, we glimpse the first fracture between heaven's order and humanity's desire for godlike mastery. From that moment onward, mankind would live with both the gift and the curse of enlightenment. And so when Enoch looked to the heavens again, he no longer saw only light. He saw the balance of mercy and judgment, the eternal rhythm that governs all creation. After the rebellion of the Watchers, Enoch's life was no longer that of an ordinary man. He became a bridge between the divine and the mortal, a recorder of visions too vast for human language. In his solitude, he was lifted beyond the limits of the earth, carried by the power of the Spirit into the realms of heaven. There, the mysteries of creation unfolded before his eyes. He saw great mountains of shining metal and rivers of fire that flowed without smoke. He saw stars chained in darkness for disobeying their appointed paths, and winds that guarded the corners of the world. He saw the storehouses of snow and hail, and the paths of thunder. Each element, each motion of the cosmos was alive with purpose. Nothing existed by chance. Every law of nature was a reflection of divine order. Then Enoch was brought before the dwellings of the holy ones. The light there was beyond the light of the sun, a brilliance that did not burn, but revealed. Countless angels stood in ranks, their faces like living flame, their voices like the harmony of many waters. They greeted him not as an intruder, but as one called by name. At the center of that infinite radiance was the throne of the great glory. Its brilliance was like crystal fire. Beneath it rolled a sea of glass. The cherubim and seraphim encircled it, their wings moving with the rhythm of eternity. Upon that throne sat the Ancient of Days, whose countenance no flesh could behold. And yet Enoch, upheld by grace, heard the words of the Eternal. The voice was like the blending of thunder and music. It spoke not only to the ear, but to the soul. It revealed that justice is woven into the fabric of creation itself, that every action returns in measure to its source. The rebellion of the Watchers had disturbed the balance. Judgment was not vengeance, but restoration. Then Enoch was shown the places prepared for the souls of men, the hollow spaces within the earth, where the spirits of the departed awaited their destiny. There were chambers for the righteous, filled with calm light, and other regions where the wicked trembled in shadow, awaiting correction. He saw the spirits of the giants, restless and bitter, wandering the wastelands as echoes of the corruption they had caused. They would become what later ages would call demons, bound to the earth until the end of days. In another vision, Enoch was carried to the ends of heaven, where the stars rise and set. He was taught the names of the celestial lights and the laws that guide their motion. He learned that each star is an angelic being, moving according to divine command, and that disorder among them is punished with binding in darkness. From these revelations came the earliest understanding of cosmic law, the idea that moral order and natural order are one and the same. Then Enoch saw the Book of Judgment, vast, luminous, filled with the records of all deeds. Every act, every thought, every hidden motive of humanity was inscribed there. He realized that nothing in creation is lost. Everything is remembered, waiting for its moment of balance. This was the meaning of divine justice, not merely retribution, but the restoration of harmony across the heavens and the earth. The vision grew brighter still. He saw the coming of the Chosen One, the Son of Man, who would sit upon a throne beside the Ancient of Days. This figure was radiant, clothed in light, and all the powers of heaven bowed before him. Enoch was told that this one would bring final judgment, that the kings of the earth would tremble,
and that truth would triumph over corruption. Though written long before the age of Christianity, this prophecy would echo through later scriptures, shaping the very image of the Messiah. Then Enoch beheld the fate of the watchers. They were bound in caverns of burning stone, imprisoned beneath the mountains they had once ruled. Their eyes, which had gazed upon forbidden beauty, now saw nothing but darkness. Their voices, which had taught men false wisdom, were silenced. They awaited a final sentence, not annihilation, but an eternity of awareness of their fall. As these visions ended, Enoch felt both awe and sorrow. He had seen the majesty of the divine and the frailty of creation. He understood that knowledge is a gift only when tempered by reverence. For the wisdom of heaven, when seized by pride, becomes the ruin of worlds. When he returned to the earth, his face shone with the light of what he had seen. People gathered to hear him, but few understood. He spoke of order, of purity, of the need for humility before the mysteries of existence. He warned that the flood would come, not merely of water, but of judgment, washing away the corruption that the watchers had sown. Yet even in warning there was hope. The Eternal, he said, would never abandon the world he had made. From destruction would rise renewal. From judgment would come wisdom. And from Enoch's own lineage would come the deliverance of mankind. Thus the visions of Enoch became a record for generations, a map of heaven and a mirror for the soul. Through them, the unseen order of creation was revealed, and the story of divine justice began to unfold.
The visions of Enoch are among the oldest symbolic writings in sacred history. To read them as mere mythology is to miss their deeper purpose. Each image, each event conceals an idea, a truth expressed through the language of symbol and revelation. To understand Enoch is to glimpse how ancient humanity perceived the invisible structure of the cosmos and the moral order that sustains it. The story of the Watchers is not simply a tale of angels who fell from heaven. It is a reflection of an eternal tension between knowledge and obedience, between divine wisdom and human ambition. The descent of the Watchers mirrors the human condition itself, the urge to reach higher, to know what is forbidden, to command forces beyond understanding. Semyaza and Azazel represent intellect, unrestrained by conscience. Their fall is not only celestial, it is psychological, a warning about the corruption of wisdom when detached from humility. In the ancient world, the mountain where the Watchers swore their oath, Mount Hermon, symbolized the meeting point of heaven and earth. It was the threshold where the divine could touch the mortal. By descending there, the Watchers crossed not just a physical boundary, but a moral one. They inverted the purpose of creation. What was meant to illuminate became a source of darkness. The Nephilim, their offspring, are more than giants of legend. They are the living image of excess, power without purpose, strength without harmony. In the ancient mind, they symbolize what happens when divine gifts are corrupted by mortal desires. Their destruction was not merely punishment, but restoration, the rebalancing of an order torn by arrogance. The binding of Azazel beneath the desert cliffs echoes throughout later traditions, a vision of chaos restrained. Azazel's name would later be invoked in the ritual of the scapegoat, representing the removal of sin and corruption from the people. In this, Enoch's story connects directly to the moral structure of later faiths. Sin must be acknowledged, named, and cast away for harmony to return. Enoch's journey through the heavens holds another layer of meaning. In his descriptions of fiery rivers, luminous mountains, and living stars, one hears not only poetic imagery, but also early cosmology. Long before modern astronomy, Enoch's text portrayed the heavens as ordered systems ruled by moral law, each star obedient, each wind purposeful.
For ancient readers, this was not science, but revelation. The universe itself was ethical. Disorder in heaven and sin on earth were reflections of the same broken principle. The Book of Luminaries, one of the later sections of Enoch, details the courses of the sun, moon, and stars with astonishing precision for its time. Scholars believe these passages encode an ancient calendar, a vision of time as sacred geometry. Every sunrise, every season, every cycle of light and darkness was a moral rhythm. When the Watchers defied heaven, they disrupted not just divine order, but the pattern of time itself. Then there is the Son of Man, a figure Enoch sees enthroned beside the Ancient of Days. In this vision lies the seed of later messianic thought. The Son of Man is the perfect reflection of divine justice, the mediator between heaven and earth, the one who restores what was lost. His presence in Enoch's vision predates the New Testament by centuries, revealing how deeply this archetype was rooted in human consciousness. It shows that the longing for redemption is as ancient as civilization itself. The four archangels, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel, each embody aspects of divine governance. Michael is justice, Gabriel is revelation, Raphael is healing, and Uriel is wisdom. Together they form a celestial pattern mirrored in human virtues: strength, truth, compassion, and understanding. The heavens, in Enoch's account, are not chaotic, but hierarchical, a moral architecture reflecting the structure of the soul. Even Enoch himself is symbolic. He is humanity elevated, the seeker who attains divine wisdom without pride. Unlike Adam, who fell by reaching for forbidden knowledge, Enoch ascends by walking in obedience. Where the Watchers looked downward in desire, Enoch looks upward in faith. He becomes what they were meant to be, a true watcher of righteousness. The flood, foretold in Enoch's visions, is both literal and symbolic. It represents purification, the cleansing of corruption through divine order. Water, the element of life, becomes the instrument of renewal. It washes away what is diseased so that creation might begin again. Every ancient culture has a story of such a flood. Enoch's account stands as one of the oldest, describing not only a physical event, but a moral reset. Modern scholars have often tried to interpret Enoch through archaeology, astronomy, or comparative mythology. But what makes the Book of Enoch unique is that it bridges the physical and the metaphysical. It is a text that treats spiritual law and natural law as the same continuum. When the stars stray from their paths, it is a moral failure. When man strays from truth, it is a cosmic one. This unified vision of the universe, moral, physical, and divine, is what made Enoch's book sacred to ancient minds. The fact that it was excluded from later canons does not diminish its power. It simply made it more mysterious, more potent as a key to forgotten wisdom. When the Dead Sea Scrolls were uncovered and fragments of Enoch were found among them, it confirmed what the Ethiopian manuscripts had preserved for centuries, that Enoch's voice had never truly vanished. They had been waiting to be rediscovered. To modern ears, Enoch still speaks with unsettling clarity. It warns against the arrogance of knowledge without wisdom, against the illusion that humanity can master the forces of creation without reverence. It suggests that the same pride that led the Watchers to fall still lingers in our own pursuit of power, whether through technology, conquest, or self-worship. And yet, beneath the warning, there is a call to balance. For Enoch's visions are not meant to frighten, but to remind. The universe is alive, conscious, and governed by justice. When humanity aligns with that order, peace follows. When it defies it, chaos returns. Thus, in the symbols of the Watchers, the Nephilim, and the heavenly books, we find not superstition, but timeless philosophy, a system of thought that sees morality not as human invention, but as the very pulse of the cosmos itself.
In the vast library of ancient thought, few works possess the strange brilliance of the Book of Enoch. It stands between myth and revelation, between forgotten memory and eternal truth. It is not only a record of visions, but a mirror, reflecting how early humanity saw its place in the universe. To read Enoch is to glimpse the origins of both faith and philosophy, long before they were divided by time. The story begins with corruption, rebellion, and the fall of the Watchers. Beings of light seduced by shadow. But beneath this tragedy lies a greater question. Why did they fall? Not for malice alone, but for desire. The same desire that drives humanity to seek knowledge, to reach beyond its limits. In their rebellion, the Watchers reflect our own restless nature, our yearning to understand the forbidden. They are a celestial echo of human ambition. Enoch, however, shows us another path. While the Watchers descended in pride, Enoch ascended in humility. His wisdom was not seized, but granted. His elevation was not through rebellion, but through harmony with divine will. He became the bridge, the link between heaven and earth, proving that enlightenment is not stolen from the divine, but received by those who walk in righteousness. This duality lies at the heart of the text. Every fall is a distortion of a higher virtue. Every punishment is a return to balance. The flood that cleansed the earth was not merely destruction, it was restoration. Even the binding of Azazel was an act of mercy upon creation, sealing away the forces that once corrupted it. Such is the moral architecture of Enoch's vision, not vengeance, but order, not chaos, but correction. But what gives the Book of Enoch its enduring power is how eerily it speaks to the modern world. In the age of technology and boundless information, we too have become watchers, wielders of knowledge beyond comprehension. We reach into the secrets of life, decode the stars, manipulate the atom. And yet the same question remains. Have we gained wisdom or merely power? Like the angels who once fell, humanity stands at a threshold, capable of enlightenment or self-destruction. Enoch's words are a mirror, showing us what happens when knowledge outpaces virtue. The text also reminds us that morality is not a social invention, but a cosmic law. The stars, in Enoch's vision, move according to divine justice. The winds obey their appointed seasons. The light and darkness follow an eternal rhythm. When humanity breaks moral law, it is as if the stars themselves falter, as if creation becomes wounded. To restore righteousness, then, is not only to heal the soul, but to realign the universe itself. Perhaps that is why the ancient authors wrote with such grandeur and mystery, to remind us that every choice echoes beyond the self. Every act of truth restores harmony. Every lie breeds dissonance. The universe, Enoch suggests, is alive, and it remembers. Throughout the centuries, Enoch's name has endured as a symbol of enlightenment. He is the prophet who walked with God and was not, for God took him. In mystical traditions, this moment is understood not as death, but as transformation. The soul transfigured into pure awareness. Enoch became Metatron, the celestial scribe, guardian of divine mysteries and witness to eternity. Whether taken literally or symbolically, this transformation represents the ultimate destiny of consciousness, to rise beyond corruption into truth. In this light, the Book of Enoch is more than an ancient manuscript. It is a spiritual map, a guide through the labyrinth of existence. Its warnings are timeless, its wisdom ageless. It calls us to remember that creation is not divided between sacred and profane. All of it, seen and unseen, is bound by one law: harmony. And to walk in that harmony is to walk, as Enoch did, with God. As this exploration draws to a close, let us reflect on one enduring lesson. The true measure of knowledge is not what it reveals, but how it transforms. Wisdom that does not humble, power that does not serve, and faith that does not enlighten, these are but echoes of the Watcher's fall. But humility joined with understanding, courage bound by compassion, and truth pursued in reverence, these lead to ascension. These make of man not a fallen angel, but a rising one. So when you next gaze at the stars, remember Enoch's vision. Each light that burns in the night sky is not merely a sun, but a witness. Each one moves in perfect obedience to a law that has never changed. And somewhere beyond them, in that vast and silent order, walks Enoch still, the first watcher of righteousness, the eternal bridge between heaven and earth.